Shekhar, it's a pleasure again to welcome you.
Of course, thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to see you and talk with you.
We keep going back to the same platform, which is glamour, and now we're trying to bridge glamour with technology. Since you're at the event where the Prime Minister is showcasing India's opportunities and startups and digital India, you are one of the hot emerging designers from India focused on Hollywood. I'm trying to learn from you. When you come to places like Silicon Valley and network with all these entrepreneurs, technology obviously becomes a big enabler for you. How do you think technology could be applied to your business?
Yes, last year, a couple of years before, I did a fashion show at the Tycon, and I met a lot of entrepreneurs, and we actually brainstorm ideas. How can we get fashion in technology, or we can get technology in fashion? Because if you see film, there is a lot of technology in filmmaking nowadays. They have graphics, they have animation, they have a lot of stuff, and nowadays they make the entire film without having a single human in that. We call it as a anime. So this is what and then we discussed there is nothing like a very you can call it as a very qualified software to design dresses on computer. There are some softwares, but they are not like the way you can study graphics and anime and you can make a film. In the same way, you cannot study fashion on computer and become a successful fashion designer. If you want to become a successful fashion designer, you have to go to school. So that's what I brainstormed, and they actually told me, Shekhar, you come on board, you give us the tools like the sketches, how to develop the sketches, and then they create those like palettes of that, and then they will create a software. So right now I am in process to talking with Silicon Valley people how we can make a very qualified, very genuine, very easy software for the people who can't go to school but can become successful designers. So I'm working on that. That's the one thing I'm working, and there are many other softwares or ideas. Like 3D printing basically came in technology. So I wanted to make like dresses, because making a dress, like it's extremely, it's a lot of exercise. It's like we make dresses, we call it as a make dresses, but it's basically we construct dresses. It's a construction, like you buy fabric, beads, crystals and embroideries, put them together, and then the way you build a building, that way you build it's only on a smaller scale, that's why you say it more, but it's a lot of work in that. So I was thinking in future, can we develop a technology that's something like 3D printing or easier way to construct that dress, So same way, like, technology is in construction, in films, and everything when you construct, we use technology now. So fashion or the dresses are the only one probably in the world where we don't use technology to make that haute couture gown, like a very classic gown. They do in ready-made garments, lot of technology and machines they use, but I'm talking about very subtle, very classic gown which will go for Oscars or Golden Globes or Emmys and Grammys. So I'm working on this type of things with all the software engineers and the technology giants basically.
You touched on a very important element, which is when you design, and you obviously have, you told me last time that most of your models are 5'8" and over in height, and you design mostly for the red carpets like Oscars and Golden Globes, etc. Well, it's a very human element involved. You have to understand the person who's wearing it, the personality of the person. Then you pick up the cloth and the design and everything else. I know it is difficult to fit this into a software as such. You have to have that human element involved in it. But coming to the human side of it, what goes into the mind of a designer like you when you pick a big star, and obviously that person is going to wear what you design? what are the elements that you put together?
Yeah, see, now because of the technology and Google, it's much easier now than it was 20 years before. What we do, like if a client call me, the simple thing I do Google search on them, and I study like what they wore for last 10 years. If I got a call from an actress to wear a gown for the Oscars, I'm going to study her what she wore actually on last 10 years on the Oscars or the Emmys or Golden Globes, and then we get an idea of what exactly she liked the most and what color suits on her personality. So there is a skin tone and the body line, its entire anatomy. We study on that and we come for the conclusion. Then I make 4 dresses, and my ratio is almost 100%, that out of those 4 dresses or 3 dresses which I make for them, they will like one. Like I'm giving you a very simple example, like I made this is the first time I made a men's collection, and what an opportunity that our honorable Prime Minister is here. So I made for him. So I used all the khadi fabric, and because he likes khadi, and I made 2 salwar kurta and the jacket suits for them. I haven't got the opportunity to meet him, but hopefully I'll meet him today, and I have given it to somebody close to him to give it to him. Even if I don't meet him, I'll be happy even if he received and he wear it. This is his style. So before I'll make those dresses, I studied what he wore last 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. Since he is in politics, he was a CM of Gujarat. He did a great job, and he's like a people's person. And then I studied what he likes. Sometimes he like light colors, jackets he generally wear dark colors. So this is my observation. This is how we study, and the same way I made 2 suits for him, and hopefully he will like it.
Going back a little, in the past, when you were learning or trying to become a designer, what were some of the fundamental elements that really attracted you to this kind of profession?
See, the most thing I like today also, this question is being asked me in almost all interviews, but what I like the most is the fabric. That's my first thing. Like a lot of time what I do, I make 10 sketches, like 10 designs, and then I go to the fabric store, and then I buy fabric accordingly the sketches. But the funny part is when I go there to buy fabric for 10 dresses which I have designed, I'll end up buying 20 pieces of fabrics because I just like those other fabrics, and I buy the fabrics and then I sketch it. So I visualize how a person will look good, because those fabrics are so pretty. I know this girl is going to look good into that, this actress is going to look good into that. So I bring the 10 fabric according to the 10 sketches, and those extra 10 fabrics which I bring, and I design new sketches accordingly. So I work both ways. Yeah, and sometimes the fabrics are so phenomenal, like even you do a simple dress, they look good. So sometimes you are lucky to get like that type of a fabric. Yeah.
Why did you focus on the red carpet gowns?
Red carpet gives the most exposure in the world. Like if you see, especially like most of the top, like if you talk about Oscar, Golden Globes, Emmys and Grammys, these are like 4 or 5 top award shows, and the Cannes Film Festival, all these images, they go for Getty Images, and Getty Images is picked up by every possible media on this planet. So that's what the exposure, like even if I do a small event where you don't find a Getty image covering it, that picture will go probably on a internet or maybe on somebody's Facebook. But if I attend these red carpets and my image goes to everywhere, it happened in the past, like my images which I like designed gowns in the Oscars or Golden Globe, they were picked up by Indian media, and then they found this is an Indian guy, and then they gave me the exposure. Without me or my PR trying to get me exposure in India, it worked other way around. So they actually picked up the images and, oh, there is an Indian name, and then they gave me exposure like Indian designer Shekhar Rahate in Hollywood. So that's how I got the exposure, and then I believed in that internet media, and I concentrated in like whatever business I get now, all business I get through my red carpet exposure.
I have a 2-part question. One is, you said you like the fabric first, then you think of the person next. When you look at a good fabric, do you think of designing an Indian wear? And if you do, who would be the ideal person for you to wear that dress?
Yeah, there are stores, I can tell you, Michael Levin in downtown Los Angeles, and Joann's Fabrics, they are all over US. So nowadays they have a section called Indian fabric, or they have a section called sari fabric. They don't call sari, they call sari fabric. So it's basically it's a 30-yard sari which you cut whichever you want. So people buy it for like a top or a bottom, or some people buy only like a sari. So what I do, if I get something like that, I will not wait. I will not stop on one name. There are plenty of names I want to work with, but there are two definitely names which are in my mind. One is Aishwarya Rai, and the second is Deepika Padukone. So they are basically, I would love to style them or design them, because the way they carry a dress, it's phenomenal, basically.
I think the sari has, brought a lot of recognition to Indian women across the world, and it's completely defines the womanhood, I think. So I'll take you back a few years. I'm sure there are a lot of actors who look very good in sari, but one image that stood out for me was about Sushmita Sen. She wore a sari in a movie with Shah Rukh Khan. So because you talked about sari, that was, I thought, the perfect positioning of a woman wearing a sari.
Yeah, and Sushmita Sen is one of those actresses or a model. She have a great personality of wearing like any dress basically, but she looked great in sari. Yes, I have seen her in saris. I have actually seen a show in Dubai, and she performed in a fashion show wearing a sari, and she was looking like there were 30 models, and she was looking best.
Any way to try and play around with how the sari is worn into a different dress using the sari?
Oh, I buy I've been going to Indian stores, and I bought a 5-yard sari and 6-yard saris, and then I have converted them into gowns. So if you are Indian or if you are South Asian, then only you will recognize this, that is an Indian fabric or an Indian sari. But for the Westerners, it's just an exotic fabric, and they like it. All my sari gowns are being highly recognized in this industry. People just loved it. Like photographers were dying to take pictures of that. And every person have asked me, like, where did you got this fabric? Because that fabric is not available here. You have to know where to buy that fabric.
So you mentioned, tall women on the red carpet. You mentioned some of the film stars. You mentioned the global leaders and Indian leaders, including the Prime Minister. Any chance of you looking at ordinary people like me who are not that good looking or not that tall?
See, it's not, I never say somebody is not good looking or short or tall. What we do, when I make dresses, like, the first, my target is to get the exposure. And like a lot of people, designers, they run behind the money. Whatever reason is there, I'm telling you, I'm still today, I'm in this industry more than 12 years, but I'm still not making a dress to make money. Money comes later. First I make a dress, I want the person to be happy. The second thing is I need to get the exposure. I need to be in internet media, I need to be in print media, I need to get my name out. Making one dress, I need to have 1,000 people to see it instead of making one dress and one person wearing it and keeping in the closet.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So the second part is buying it, and eventually you get exposure, you get a name, and people love to buy names than the dress nowadays. Sure. So they buy my dresses, and I do make money. And I have all kind of clients coming to my store, and I treat them as celebrities. For me, it's not non-celebrity or celebrity. Once somebody comes to my store, if somebody comes to my store, I will treat that person the same way I'll treat a celebrity. Because he is also going to get me name out, he is going to get me business, he is also going to lift me up in my career and my future.
Right. I guess you have the right notes and the right mindset, and I continue to wish you the very best for years to come.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.